Hi. Today I want to talk to you about why it is so damn hard to change. I recently had an aha moment when I was considering some struggle in my own business where I felt like I've just kind of hit the glass ceiling and I just could not break it, and it was so frustrating. I decided to sit with it and kind of get to a root cause of it, and I realized something is that when something happens to us at any point in our lives, but especially when we're young children, we often have a follow-up interpretation of the events, and we draw conclusions from what happened and what the situation means about us. And what that does, it creates a sense of identity. Who am I? What are my limitations? What I can or cannot do? Very often they are interpretations that can be created by a child who does not have the ability and the resources to look at things clearly. They are influenced by what is said around them, by the adults, by the society, by whatever circumstances are around them, and they sort of mimic, and we mimic these messages, and we incorporate them, and they become a part of our identity. And that's batshit crazy, because that identity will determine everything I do and I don't do. Why? Because human beings will always act according to their identity. If I see myself as a kind person, I am incapable of saying something really nasty to a stranger, no matter how pissed I am at whatever they are doing. Why? Because it's inconsistent with my identity. If my identity is that I can only make this certain amount of money in my life, and I have an opportunity to make a proposal to a company and ask for a lot of money, it's going to be extremely uncomfortable for me because it's non-consistent with my identity, and I will feel guilty or grabby or greedy, and I will not be able to do that. It's going to make me profoundly uncomfortable. So what I've realized is that events of the past and interpretations of these events get to determine who I am and what I'm about and what I get to experience going in the future. And what is the event that happened in the past? It's a memory. It's a memory that does not exist. It's a story that lives in my head. It is nothing. It is not tangible something. So nothing, quote unquote, a memory, a story in my head, determines who I am and who I can be and what I can experience. And again, I speak from experience. I do not take lightly horrible things that can happen to people. I've experienced family loss and personal pregnancy loss and trauma and violence and all the horrible things, and I can say, yes, I can have and carry with me an identity of a victim because these things happened to me and they shaped me. No, the interpretation of what happened to me, that those things happened to me, that somehow they were reflective on who I am and my value and my worth, they shaped my identity, and that's what shaped my life, not the events. The moment I decided to detach my identity from the past events, and the moment I stopped allowing my identity to be shaped by a memory, things get different. So this is my invitation. How to not repeat the same mistakes, how to get unstuck, how to change is you need to upgrade your identity. You need to decide that whatever happened to you is factual, but what the interpretation of that is, it's entirely up to you. It may sound simplistic. It's not easy, but it is simple. It's as simple as a choice of what you're going to do with that. Are you going to be willing to forgive yourself, to forgive others, and to not allow that memory, the events, the interpretations of yourself and when you were little and unresourceful, and interpretations of other people, will you allow to determine a box in which you get to live? Because your identity is a box. No matter what it is, it can be a small box, it can be an enormous box. but it will limit what you get to experience. So this is my invitation. Consider where you struggle and what is the element of your identity that supports this struggle. And is it time for an upgrade? Because you can upgrade your identity anytime. It's kind of like a snake that outlives its skin. It just goes and rubs it off and it's got new skin. We can do that too. We are not bound by anything that's what's in here. Nobody gets to tell us who we are but ourselves. So question it. Get curious. Again, love, compassion, kindness, generosity towards yourself, creating a safe space for yourself will allow you to explore this area. This is not a time to beat yourself up. This is not a time to say, how come I've lived so small my whole life? This, living small, is useful because it can inform you that this is not what you want. You want something more. But to have something more, you must update your identity. If your identity is, I'm not a fit person, you will never exercise, no matter how many resolutions you write down. If you update your identity as a person who honors herself or himself and does whatever the right thing is by your body, the moment you do that, your actions will follow because it comes from a different identity. I have an identity of an athlete and I love salt and pepper, kettle, potato chips. And I eat them. But I can only eat so much and so often because eating them all the time is simply inconsistent with my identity and it makes me extremely uncomfortable. So that's just one silly example, but everything we do is like that. So enough said. Practice. Share, subscribe, ask me questions, tell me if you're struggling, or tell me your celebrations. I want to hear all of it. And tune in for the next episode of Life Blowout Prevention Project. I'll see you next time.